Welcome back. Rabbit Hole Sports and Media YouTube channel, Season 2, Episode 9, the Cal Bears, coming into Roner Park to take on our Seawolves. Back-to-back home games, first the Bears, and then the UNLV Rebels. Gonna try to get our video time back down to 30 minutes, and because of that, I'm gonna cut back a little bit on what I'm doing in the game plan portion of things, get it really minimal. I really want these videos focused on action so that people who are into football can enjoy the action, people who aren't into super detailed football can enjoy the action, and it can be more of an all enjoyable video. A bigger audience, I guess, is what I am trying to say. So I'm going to cut down on that, and I'm going to start going into some other ways to explain what I'm doing in game planning, go deeper into recruiting, yada yada, and do it outside of these videos so the YouTube can strictly be for more of the general population, I guess you would say. But getting into business, starting with some recruiting, we are getting hammered. We have one commit. I definitely underestimated the impact of our team prestige and resources. Quick explanation on that. Each team has a star ranking, which is their prestige, and that correlates to the amount of resources you get in recruiting. That mixed with some coach abilities, which we don't have many recruiting coach abilities. None from our head coach, some from our assistants. And so I definitely misplayed how much that would impact us. It luckily won't be too big of a deal because, again, we had a super young roster to start with, but next season we got to focus a lot more on quantity as opposed to quality. But Damian Garnes, 4-star receiver from Honolulu, is going to UCSB. We finished second. We replace him with Donny Gizzi, 3-star receiver from Inglewood, California. Emmanuel Foster, 3-star guard from Harbor City, California, is going to UNLV. We replace him with Alex Pryor, a 2-star from Bellflower. We were locked out by 3-star free safety Rolando Willie from Mesquite, Texas. So we replace him on the board with 1-star Benny Pinero from South Lake Tahoe, California. In the top 25, we've got Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Clemson, Oregon, Michigan, Penn State, USC, and Miami. That is in the Super 2, 8 SEC teams, 7 Big Ten teams, 1 American team. The ACC has 6 teams at 13, 15, 20, 21, 22, 25, which really, I'll riff a little bit here. Gets me annoyed that the ACC conference isn't working in registering conference games, so they don't have a conference champion that'll automatically get a spot. So we'll see if one of them can get in. None of them are in the top 12 right now, so it doesn't look likely, but we'll see if that changes. Again, my plan is next season to flip Conference USA and the ACC, so we'll think of those in reverse function, I guess you would say. But, it alludes to something else I want to do, which is we start in this Super 2 Power 4 group of 4, but kind of the point was to see if maybe a Power 4 conference could emerge as another super conference, and this really ruins the opportunity to fully see if the ACC can do that. So I really want to correct that going forward and see if we can have another conference emerge, so to speak. I won't get too lost into that. But from the Mountain West, North Texas is ranked. They are the only group of 4 team currently in the top 25. Top games this week. First off, should Iowa and Kansas be a rivalry? It really feels like they should, especially both being in the Big Ten now. Louisville goes to West Virginia. Florida State, Florida, 23 Florida, goes to number 5 Clemson. Utah State goes to BYU. Missouri visits South Carolina. Number 1, Georgia goes to Lane Stadium to take on Enter Sandman and the Hokies. Number 14, Alabama at number 11, LSU. Kent State at Bowling Green. Arkansas at number 4, Texas A&M in the Southwest Classic, played at Jerry World in Arlington, Texas. Miami, Ohio visits Ohio. Number 6, Oregon at number 9, USC. And number 10, Miami at Florida State. So looking at our opponent, Cal, they are 5-3, 2-1 in conference. They run a veer and shoot offense and a 3-4 defense. So that veer and shoot offense, the main things that it presents from a schematical standpoint is going to be spacing, They use those wide receiver splits, which I have touched on and we'll definitely get to see in action very much so in this one. And the problem with that is it really spreads out the defense by alignment, and we like to play a lot of zone coverage. And so naturally, when you spread the defense out more, those zones get wider, the gaps between the players in the zones get wider, and so therefore there's more space for the quarterback to throw. The other problem is they typically run a no huddle, so they're going fast, trying to get the ball snapped quickly for the most part. And with that, it really limits your playbook in this game because you can only call plays from your audibles, which I won't get too deep into, but that's really frustrating. I feel like they could do some different things to realistically display how tempo works while not limiting the defense so much, because it's not so much that you don't have your full playbook at disposal, more than you have to call things very quickly. So again, won't get too lost in that. But from a personnel standpoint, CJ Harris, the quarterback, great scrambler, and that means we have to take resources either from our coverage or pass rush to watch the quarterback. They have a very deep receiving core, essentially 5 guys that present issues against our defensive backs. Tough matchups for our guys, even playing zone, and we're going to have to play more man today, which is our weak point. So a tough matchup scheme and personnel-wise. Really want to emphasize that. But again, need to find answers, even though there are limitations of the game. I hate to even complain about it because, again, it sets a bad precedent. That's the problem. Is in real football, right? Certain matchups, even if on paper, overall wise, it's not overwhelming. Sometimes what they're doing with that personnel versus what you're doing with your personnel creates issues, and that gets further emphasized with some of the limitations in the game. And that's the only reason I bring it up. It is by no reason something to overly complain about. But very athletic and balanced O-line. Doesn't fit super well with their scheme, but it could neutralize some of our speed that we want to put in at linebacker to counter their wide spacing. And that could make it hard to get pressure on Harris, the quarterback. On defense, they're very well constructed in the front. Great scheme fits, run stoppers on the interior, and good rangy linebackers. They have a good complement of skills in the secondary, very solid run help, tough skill sets to match up with our receivers. In their sub personnel, though, not great pass rush oriented front, still good run stoppers, but still good coverage. So we're going to have to do a lot of improvisation with Teron Barnes, because they are going to be a good run stopping unit and a solid coverage unit, but I think we could get some time to get some throws off. So it's going to be a question on if we can buy enough time for our receivers to get open against their defensive backs. Game 9, the Bears, coming to campus to take on the Seawolves, putting them in the yellow pants, putting us in our base home uniforms. Good to be back in front of the home crowd and have back-to-back home games for the first time all season, ending this season with 3 out of 4 games at home. Today with Cal, then UNLV, and then we will wrap up the season with Texas State. But Ty Hardy will take the return to open things. Thought I had gotten by number 4 there, and that's why I tried to juke. Turned out I had not, and I cut right in him for an easy tackle. But here is Teron Barnes, the offense, to start things. And because of the tempo that Cal is going to use on offense, really important for us to take up a lot of time with the ball when we are on offense ourselves, as we hit peaks off the play-action bootleg there. But the easiest way to do that is to run the ball successfully, and I talked about it. We don't have great matchups to do that, and I mean, just overall, this Cal team in general is probably our toughest matchup from a pure strength-on-strength standpoint, if that makes sense. So, like, USC, better overall, but from a matchup standpoint, we were really able to neutralize things, where against Cal, more balanced on the overall standpoint, but going to be harder to neutralize things as Tyson gets loose for a touchdown. Not the most electric touchdown call I have ever done. But Keontae Tyson gets loose, talked about how important it was going to be to run the ball, find a way to do it there, and in some ways, you almost don't want to be running for those big of plays because we're turning the ball over quickly. But again, we're in a way built to play that way because we're kind of going to give in and say, all right, you want to go tempo? Fine. Score quickly, go ahead. We are confident in our ability to take the ball away and create enough negative plays to counteract that. So we're willing to get in some high-scoring, shootout-like games, and I expect that here today. Quick throw outside from Harris, right on target to the sideline for 4 yards to open things, and we see that tempo at work early. Right to the line. We don't see those wide splits from the receivers, very normal there, and we get pressure. Joshua Townsend, and like I said, the wide splits present issues because you have to go to man coverage really to neutralize those. There are some things you can do outside of man that are just hard to do on this game. I put on a clinic on how to use her there. I feel like sometimes you just make the slightest movement on the joystick and really end up taking yourself out of position, and I vomit all over myself with the usering skills on that 3rd and 13. But another third down opportunity for Cal. Harris making an adjustment. We show pressure over the middle quick to the tight end, JT Byrne. They have been a thorn in our side all season long, and that is a 1st and goal from the 1-yard line. Man in motion, pulling around, easy work. Touchdown, Bears. A very quick answer. Touchdowns for each team on their opening drive about halfway through this first quarter in a showdown between Northern California opponents in the Pac-12. Making adjustments at the line, Barnes. 2 tight ends in the backfield, McLawler and Bentley. McLawler in motion. Play action. Barnes moves right. Back shoulder to McLawler. Nice. He finds space. Chunk play to the 50-yard line. And this Sonoma State offense moving it early. Want to dominate the possession time. Tyson on the ground. Going to find some room there. Already 64 yards on just 3 carries for number 7. He has been probably the biggest breakout star for this unit. Barnes keeps into the red zone, and he slides down. Ryan Yates banged up for Berkeley, and it is a 1st down and 10. SSU inside the 20-yard line as the play clock winds down. Delay of game. Really wish they let you snap the ball more with guys in motion, since that is perfectly legal in football. We are not shifting, we are motioning. So again, don't want to get lost down the rabbit hole. 7 yards for Tyson. 2nd down and 8. Move McLawler out, back in. See how we can match up in the run. Counter. Patience from Tyson. Works out. 5 yards. See it right here. Let the blocks get set up. Sit behind that line, and then break out behind the blocks from Gregory and Suachu, I believe. 3rd down and 3. Gonna get an RPO dialed up here. Don't have the numbers to get the linebacker blocked, and we don't have the speed to outrun him. Had the one-on-one on the cross. I just don't know if it was a good enough angle to throw to in the amount of time we had to throw on the RPO. So we settle for the field goal. George Lincoln sends it through, and it is 10-7. And here a good example of what we can do. We can kind of lock on to some of those guys in the slot on the wide side so they can run with them across the field. But again, because of some limitations on the game, it doesn't really allow you to properly manipulate zones, a problem we kind of run into with our spot drop and lock coverage that we try to run, but I'm finding ways to work around it. This is definitely going to be a game where we will learn a lot, and for good reason, because this is certainly the scheme you're seeing a lot of the teams in the SEC start to run that are more, I don't want to say average, because it's certainly better teams. They have good talent. I'm thinking of Ole Miss and Tennessee specifically, but they don't quite have the talent to match up with Georgia and Alabama on a consistent basis. And this is the scheme they have leaned into, and they've really put up some big point totals in the past couple of seasons against lower tier opponents, the group of 4 opponents in our world of college football on Rabbit Hole Sports and Media. And that's just because, again, it forces you into man coverage, and those tier of teams matched up against SEC talent in man, yikes, that is a huge problem, and that's why I see some 70 burgers put up on a regular basis when those teams match up. So, again, it's a realistic issue that we truly do have to answer, But again, because I think just there's not enough forward thinking or deep enough football understanding programmed into the game that it really limits your ability to be creative and come up with solutions to the problems these kinds of offenses present. And that's what I really like about football is the creativity. And so it certainly frustrates me a little bit. Again, gonna get back to the action, not trying to make it about that too much. Nico Solomon puts the cap on as we continue to look for answers. And we're in the second quarter here. We've held them to 7 points. So we have done a very good job, but probably missed a deep shot there as we close in on the underneath route and force a punt, a terrible punt, shanked to the sideline. Good field position for the Seawolves. I probably talked through like 3 possessions there. 10-7. Cheese please, Tyson. First down, already 89 yards on the ground for number 7. Gonna dial up some play action here. Barnes on the move. Gregory wide open, and we miss him in overthrow. Need to get our feet set and let that go. It really takes the quarterbacks a while to reset themselves once you get them going. Nolan Knight with some cheese please, and voice crack, and a 3rd down and 5. Scotty Mack open. His second big play of this first half. Very awkward tackle there. He would take a little bit of a break. LJ Young underneath on the slant. Touchdown, Noma. Number 9 in the end zone. He's popped off a little bit more these past couple of games. Hits the Heisman pose. Maybe, letting people know he's about to break out going into next season. Not quite the Heisman statistics this season, but I look forward to his future here at Sonoma State. Our big physical receiver, number 9, LJ Young Jr. in the end zone. And it is a 2-possession lead for SSU, 17-7. Harris out quick. Need to make that tackle as Noah Collins was out there. Could not wrap up. Tempo at work again as they move around. Harris adjusts, and there you see them switch into those wide splits as those receivers on the left went way out wide. Crossing the field, Harris steps up. Plenty of room to scramble. He gets down. Hasn't been a huge problem in the early part of this game, but certainly a couple of very productive scrambles from number 16. Harris calling out the signal and adjusting on the ground. Cutting up the middle. That is another Bears first down just outside of 6 minutes as we continue to try to play our zone against them off play action. Great tackle on the running back. Unfortunately, he did not get the ball, and it is a 7-yard pickup. Fortunately, we have not been carved over the top, but it has been pretty routine for Harris to dink and dunk, but Terrell Pace off the slot gets home. Sack. Settling for a field goal, 4th and 14, a 48-yard attempt. It is up, and it is good. With ease, 17-10. Just under 5 minutes in this first half. Back out of the wishbone. Barnes play action, and that is the 3rd-string tight end, Miles Springer, getting some run as McLawler takes a break after that hit. And we're going to hit Springer on back-to-back plays. Number 84, maybe another guy. Given a little foreshadowing, perhaps, to next season. Scott McLawler will graduate. We'll need someone else to pop up at that tight end spot as we are in the green right there and miss a throw. We had one earlier to Spencer Strickland that I was talking over on a rollout where I was in the green and we missed by a mile. Kind of unbelievable. Tyson showing off the moves and the patience, and this one looking a little Le'Veon Bell-esque. It is a 3rd and 7. And I could not tell you why I dialed up this play here and should have thrown it out. We get Teron Barnes hurt. All bad on my part. No one to blame but myself. But a Matthew York punt highlight is always fun as this one hits at the 5 and Roderick gets to it at the 1. I think in real life that probably would have been a touchback, but we will take that little mistake in the game right there. Get him backed up. Getting downhill, almost over pursued on that one. Then missed a tackle. Not a great spot for Cal. Good for us. Breaking a tackle. Gets it to 3rd and 2. Now at the 8-yard line. Direct snap. First down, Bears. Harris changing. The little Barnes injury thing will not go away no matter what I hit. Super awesome. Over the middle, Harris quick. Completion. First down. Already a $150 through the air for CJ Harris. Quick, out wide, and incomplete. This time, all over the flat. Going to set up a 3rd down and 10 as we try to set ourselves up on defense. pace containing. A deep shot down the field. Dakota Mills is there to play it, break it up, and we get a shot on offense with 75 seconds to go in this first half. David DePole taken over with Teron Barnes injured, and he hits Peaks over the middle. A nice throw right there for number 14. Saw him a little bit in the Hawaii game, had a touchdown and a pick, and he's going to hit Spencer Strickland for a big play right there. Tried to show off the cheese, not quite as much, and going to show a little bit of the quarterback run game. Not the same scrambler that Barnes is, a little bit more of kind of an Alex Smith type of quarterback to give a good general description. So, you know, not a huge part of his game, but that is Scotty Mack. Touchdown. Sonoma State, 24-10. Back up 2 scores just outside of the halftime break. 5 seconds to go as the fellas celebrate. And 5 seconds to go in the half. Probably should just squib kick, but the squib kicks don't really work the way they should because they always just go right to someone, and the moves are always loose right before the half. Gotta play our lanes, but man, there's something about the play before the half that we really struggle with, and Cal gets a quick strike, momentum-changing play going into the break, and it is a 1-score game just like that. Our defense holds them to 10 points, does a pretty good job. We put up 24, and then a special teams breakdown makes it a 1-score game, and they get the ball coming out of the half. Can't have those kinds of mistakes against a team of this caliber. Here we go, on the ground, and maybe of this caliber isn't the right way to put it, but against a team where you really need to do things correctly, you really need to execute at a high rate to be successful. You just can't have those kinds of mistakes as Collins gets beat outside. Huge play down the field, really the first huge passing play of the game, at least one that I haven't been commentating something over. And on the screen, all kinds of numbers and blocking. Riggins chases him down from behind after getting laid out by a wide receiver, which, okay, whatever. Gonna happen from time to time, but shouldn't be something that happens super often. 2nd and goal from the 2 after a nice stop on first down, but a keeper from Harris. We don't have the interior run fits to match up with the quarterback ground game, and 16 is in the end zone, and the Bears are level. On the ground, Tyson, big first half from him as he goes over the century mark in the early part of this second half. Barnes on the ground, looking for room after already getting him hurt, getting him hit. Definitely playing it a little reckless with TB5. Here we go, changing it up on 2nd and 2. Getting back to our bootleg. Barnes looking to get outside, need to just throw it away. Terrible decision. Sometimes I just get into Jameis Winston mode. I don't know what to tell you guys. Interception. God bless Jameis Winston. I need to be delivered from these picks. Fortunately, not pick sixes yet. I hope we don't get to that. But man, what a bad throw. And sets up Cal with great field position again. And this time, another screen. This time, we're just not there to tackle. Loose. Touchdown. Bears. A quick 3 scores, turning this game on its ears. 24-10 to 31-24 in just a matter of a few minutes of game action, really, if that. Yeah, what, 7 minutes? I guess, like, less than 4 minutes of game action. 3 touchdowns. And here, need to throw it away again, get beat with the hop animation, and then I'm like, maybe I can bail myself out by throwing it out wide. Nope. This goes to show, more than anything, as much as I complained about, you know, the tough things you have to deal with this kind of offense, it was me that, you know, really screwed us in this one here. Over the middle, JT Byrne, touchdown. Gonna try to not let my frustration take away from the commentary here. Barnes from the pocket finds Strickland on the outside. Second time we found a chunk play on that HB corner route. And don't have to start slinging it around the yard, but definitely can't be too, you know, willy-nilly on offense in terms of our tempo. Gonna turn this into a motion mesh here. Strickland and, yeah, Peaks. Gosh, I still mix him up with Javon Moore sometimes, even after changing the gear. Here we go. 1st and 10, motion down, LJ Young. Hit him on the drag. Short passing game, taking over a little bit more here in this third quarter, under 4 minutes to go. Not getting shy away from the screen game, though. Strickland gets out, can't quite break away, but a chunk gain to get us in to the red zone. And on the counter, Tyson to the corner, touchdown, Noma. Hard cut, and we are right back in it. Let it slip away for a little bit there. Still need to get a stop on defense, but a great answer on offense to stop the bleeding. And that is going to send our defense back onto the field to deal with this unit. And they are going back to the screen. Put it on the deck. Bubba Van Claiborne, we've learned a little bit. And the Seawolves get an opportunity in Cal territory. And this is what I mean. We're kind of going to give up some points, but we feel confident in our ability to score by taking our time with the ball, and we feel like we can get enough takeaways and negative plays to counteract the points we may give up by being more aggressive. First and goal from the 4. Way overthrow on the green. I don't know. Is the QB accuracy slider too low? I don't want to adjust anything for us. I feel like it's totally fine, but it feels like the CPU with lower rated players does not miss throws that egregiously. Strickland touchdown. It's level. Stop complaining. Sonoma State back in it. Strickland getting the crowd hyped. Young and McLawler go over to celebrate, and this game is level again at 38. Told you there would be points. This game is going exactly how we thought, which, probably adds to the frustration here. But 38-38. Got to stay in it. Harris underneath, wide open, forcing them to dink and dunk. Need to stay disciplined. No huddle, back at it again. Quickly to the line, under 2 minutes in the third. On the ground, the run defense has been pretty good there, even after missing some tackles. Hold them to just 3 yards. Harris going underneath. If I could break on that quicker, maybe we break it up for an incompletion. But a first down. Back on the ground. Bottle it up. 2nd and 9. More. No huddle. Bunch to the left. 25 on the ground. Once again ate up. The run defense holding up really, really well. But man, it's just stupid to be in cover 3. They're obviously going to send someone into the seam there. I need to get into match or a match. I need to get into 3 match on that third down, not to bore everyone with that stuff. Another reason I said I'm going to try to get back this to shorter lengths, I want this the main section to just be the highlights, and then I'll probably do a second set of videos where I get a little more into the specifics of the game. On the ground, rush defense continues to be good. Generous spot there for a first down. 2nd and 2 in the red zone. Cal poised to take the lead with at least a field goal at this point, but looking to get in the end zone. Quick out again, and for the 3rd time this game, we get ate up on the screen in a terrible defense for it. All on me. It's sometimes hard to stay in commentator mode when I know that my mistakes are about to come to the forefront. Tyson on the ground, tried to pull on the power read, hit the button too late. As soon as I'm like, all right, I can take my time, I'm being a little too quick on my decisions on the option, I end up taking a fraction too long, and we're back to where we were. Punt is away. Cal back with the football. Harris and company. Double screen opportunity there. Get it out wide, and, a little too committed to staying over the top maybe in this game. Got ate up by the screen. Time and time again. It is kind of hard to adjust again with those wide splits, but certainly plenty of things we could do. You just get really limited with your playbook because you can only call plays from your audibles when they go no huddle, which again, I get the premise of it, but I think it could be executed in a better fashion. Chance on him right there. Can't bring him down. Harris gets it out, and it is a 9-yard gain. So we still have plenty of opportunities and didn't capitalize. We need to execute better. Certainly have plenty of ideas on how to handle this kind of offense next time we face it. But it's frustrating watching it back and then thinking, oh man, I would have done this, I would have done that. Barnes gets it out wide, inside of 6 minutes. Still an opportunity here, but need to get in the end zone a couple of times. That is not going to help. Throwing it into our own lineman, trying to find Strickland on the check down. 2nd and 10. This time we get it to Tyson. Get him out a little deeper on an actual curl route there instead of the check and release where you cannot manipulate the depth of the route. Pressure here. Barnes gets out, plenty of room to escape. Cheese, please. And somehow accelerates away from number 88, TJ Bullers, and gets himself out of bounds to avoid a hit. Up in the pocket here, gonna find Scott McLawler on the run behind that initial hitch route right there. Quick out to Peaks. We really like that zig route with him. Cannot break away, but sets us up with a first and goal at the 10-yard line. Need to punch it in here, especially inside 4 minutes. Strickland on the ground, plenty of room. Cannot quite get in. Second and goal from the 1-yard line. Play action. Tyson, this time in the passing game. Nice cut to stay in bounds. He gets in his third score of the game, over 100 yards on the ground. Multiple catches in the passing game. I believe he finishes with 4 and adds a score right there. Gonna go for 2 here. This is more of an analytical move that I kind of get the premise of, but not really. But essentially, if you get it and then get the stop on defense, and then when you get the ball back, if you score the touchdown, you just need an extra point to win the game. But at the same time, if you miss, you need to convert another 2-point conversion. And I have not mastered 2-point conversions. I am really bad at them. This, in all fairness, is a terrible concept on a 2-point conversion right here. Needed to change something else. We don't get it. Down 8. Send it away. Need a stop from the defense. Full complement of timeouts and 3 minutes. So 4 stoppages of the clock, including the 2-minute timeout. And our rush defense continues to answer the bell with a stop right there. 2nd and 13. Maybe should have started using the timeouts here. I don't know. I need to refine clock management too if we're going to, really get critical with the details. Running it down to CJ Harris, which is kind of annoying if they're going to go no huddle. Keeper on the draw, had the middle clogged up in alignment, but we get blown out. And it is an 11-yard gain to set up a 3rd and manageable. Used a timeout after that one, and then get caught making an adjustment, so I end up getting switched on to Jaden Bowie at the snap, which is impossible to realize because I don't know who they're going to switch me on to. And then I end up not playing my assignment correctly, and they look right at it and get a first down, which, again, frustrating. On the ground, gain of 4, timeout, inside of the 2-minute timeout at this point, 2nd and 6. On the ground again. Feels like another generous spot, but that is a first down. We use our last timeout, and that is the ball game. Harris will kneel it out, and the Bears of Berkeley have come into Rohnert Park and pick up a victory, and it is really, at this point, between them and UCSB for a spot in the Pac-12 title game, as we see Harris there. 420 yards, and a lot of it from the dinking and dunking. Still decent in the run, 2.8 yards per carry. Gave up some pretty sizable scrambles to Harris. Didn't get overwhelmed by it. Tyson was exceptional in the ground game, 13 carries, 139 yards. Would have been nice to lean into that more. Again, maybe I abandoned the run game a little too quickly, but we got back into the game twice, and it was really about the turnovers and just not being able to get the timely stops on defense, which we are really counting on. Harris, I think, ended the game 11 of 11. I want to say he was 18 of 27 at one point. Javion Thomas, we really bottled up 18 carries for 36 yards, but their receivers really ate, especially in the run after catch department. Ryan Yates all over the field. Miles Williams had an exceptional game, 1.5 sacks and an interception. Their defense was solid, but again, we were able to move the ball pretty well, create some explosives ourselves. Tyson, player of the week, 139 on the ground, 2 touchdowns, added 26 in the receiving game, and a touchdown. Looking at the scores from the games around the country, Kansas 34-16 over Iowa, West Virginia 35-21 over Louisville, Clemson 23-17 over the Gators, BYU 22-9 over the Utah State Aggies, South Carolina 33-19, Virginia Tech an upset of number 1, Georgia 34-31, Alabama over LSU 42-25, Bowling Green a narrow victory over Kent State 34-32, A&M 35-10 over Arkansas, Miami, Ohio 16-13 over the Bobcats of Ohio, Oregon 24-18 over USC, Florida State 20-17 knocking off the ranked Miami Hurricanes. But I will talk to you guys next time as we host the UNLV Rebels.